sometimes you can feel like you're capped or you're hitting a glass ceiling when you're just not making a whole lot of progress. You've kind of plateaued in your earnings. So it's really good to see just how much further there is to go and what is truly possible. Welcome to the Introverted Influencer Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Van Slyke. My soul's mission on this planet is to help fellow introverts grow their online influence in a state of feminine flow and ease. While battling the woes of depression, anxiety, and even mom guilt, I've somehow managed to build a 6-figure blog without the use of social media and without sacrificing my mental health. If I can do it, you can too. Hello, Queen. I hope you are having a wonderful week so far. I wanted to jump on here to give you part 2 of the subconscious mind hack. So if you haven't listened to episode 62, you need to go back to that episode to get part 1 of this hack. But essentially, you can say you believe something, you can say you surrender, you can say you have faith, but until your subconscious, which controls 90% of your brain, your reality, your experience, if that subconscious does not see proof, ain't shit gonna happen. You're going to get frustrated, you're going to spiral out, and you're going to give up on your dreams. So please, for part 1, that is more geared towards when you are kind of losing faith in yourself, you're down on yourself, you are not seeing evidence of the needle moving in your business or in any goal, really. You need to go back for that part 1 hack. Today, I am going to share a hack that I've been doing this for maybe a month, maybe 2 months, but it's really catapulted my results with my business, my revenue to the next freaking level, like $1,500 days, and I'm not even working. This all kind of transpired over Labor Day weekend, by the way. I was out on the lake with my family at the pool, didn't touch the computer, didn't look. The next day, oh yeah, I'd made like $1,500 in a day. And it's energy, baby. That's what it is. But of course, there's practical. There's me showing up, doing a strategy I know works because I know other bloggers who do it and it works for them. Doing that, doing what I know to do in the logical, physical realm, and then making space for God to work miracles on my life and on my revenue and on my business. And so you've got to clear a way, make space for God to perform miracles. Because if you're gripping and if you're controlling and you're dog paddling and you're just hustling and burning yourself out, you are kind of only seeing your predictable sort of results when you don't know to listen to your intuition and make space for rest, for surrender, for miracles. I think you'll start to become really disenchanted with whatever you do. I know so many people, and I've said this before too, actually, in the early days, that when you do what you love, that you never work a day in your life. And I think that's very true in certain seasons, especially when you're starting out. It's fun, it's gratifying, but when your business is responsible for paying the bills and paying the mortgage and feeding your children, there's always the choice to make it hard. And there's always the choice to lose the joy. So you have to find ways. I'm just saying there are seasons. So with that, this particular hack that I'm sharing today has really helped put the magic back into what I do and also help me get through plateaus. To give you a little backstory of what started to happen with me. So I've told this a million times, but just for anyone listening, I'm just going to give you the very condensed story that last spring, 2022, I was hit with a Pinterest algorithm update that wiped 40% of my business. Took it all away. I've been blogging for 8 years now. My business had only grown exponentially. It was actually insane growth and never had a year like that. And then as soon as I buy a home, as soon as I trust myself, to that degree and trust my business and trust my income earning potential, shit hit the fan. And there's a process of kind of regulating your nervous system first with whatever modality you choose. I do a lot. I do the exercise. I do the breath work. I do the yoga. I do the meditation. I do nature. I do hypnosis. I do a lot of things to regulate my nervous system. So that's like step one of all this. So always keep yourself regulated. Because if you're in fight or flight, you're not going to get the good ideas. You're not going to be creative. You're not going to think outside the box. You're not going to come up with solutions. You're only going to focus on problems. So regulation is one. Then accepting whatever you're going through. Just accepting it and not making it mean anything about you or, you're a bad manifester. You're not meant to own a business. This isn't meant to work out. Nope. You've got to just accept what is and neutralize the situation and not really assign meaning to it. And then this is going to be what I shared with everyone last week, part one. That hack was more about having faith in yourself. It's a tool for developing faith in yourself and being your own best friend when no one else supports you, when the numbers aren't supporting you and the numbers don't look good, even though you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. There's that part. Today, I'm going to share more of it's kind of a practical part. And that would be finding other people that are doing what you want to do. And so last week I said start a folder called Your Ideal Self. This would be called the folder, or I keep saying folder. What I mean to say, actually, is a album, like a photo album on your phone. Okay. Now title this one Expanders. I use that word because I have been in a program for the past 3 years. It's called neural reprogramming. So it's neuroscience. This is all about showing your subconscious that what you want is possible. But there's a practical element to this as well. It's not just energetic subconscious woo-woo. So you find your expanders. And you can find these on social media. You can find them in real life, like at networking events. But what you do, basically, you can take like pictures, like screenshot something about them, like on their social media feed that really inspires you. Of course, watch them if you find them inspiring. If it starts to get to where you just feel like there's this comparison and it feels icky, maybe mute them. But you need to find someone, you'll know the difference, because if it feels icky, then they're not your expander. If you truly feel inspired and motivated after you watch them, listen to them, that clicks. If it's like the energy that really gets things like really in high gear is when there's something about their story where it's like, okay, well, I know if they can do it, I can too. You truly believe that. That's when it clicks. And it can be really hard at first. It was hard for me because you guys know that I'm not about hustle. And so I would be inspired by someone, but then I would ask them or learn exactly their strategy or what they're doing. And I'm like, oh, that just doesn't really resonate with me. But what happened in terms of my business when it all went to hell after years of growth, I just said, I'm not going to get too picky about if this person is hustling to get to their goal or not. I just need proof that just because my business went through a bad year doesn't mean it's doomed, and I can turn it around. So I started to look for comeback stories. So I found like people that definitely came back or came back even better after a hard year. That was step one. But what really, really took it to the next level for me was, it was a few weeks ago, because I was starting to feel like, oh God, am I just going to have to hustle? Am I kind of a hypocrite with what I've been teaching with all this? Because I was having a hard time finding people who approached SEO and blogging in this new age, because it's gotten more competitive, but still did it in a fun, feminine, flowy way. And I found this nomad travel blogger through a podcast I highly recommend to any of you that are interested in either e-commerce or blogging or YouTubing. Check out, the podcast is called Niche Pursuits, but it's just all of these inspiring stories of people who have made it really big in their endeavors. And yeah, there's a lot of like men sharing their stories, so a lot of it can be masculine, but I found this female nomadic blogger, and she makes anywhere from like 30 to 50K months. She travels, and she only works on her blog now. She has built it up to where she has writers under her, and she hardly does any of the writing. She's more of like just the brains of it. And now she's pursuing other interests, and it's beautiful. And it took me so long to find that full-bodied like proof of what's possible and doing it in the way I would like to do it. But when I found her story a month ago, that's when things just really it became all of my efforts just overnight, it seemed like just exploded. It boomed. My blog started booming. Just beautiful. So the practical would be like, what is she doing? What is her strategy? So her strategy was like keyword research and long form content and just a strong emphasis on SEO. Another beautiful practical part of the expansion was like, and no, she doesn't use social media. So I can really relate to that because I don't use social media. So my subconscious is seeing basically the exact same strategy that I'm doing now is what she's doing. And it got her that far. And if it got her that far, I know it can get me that far. Because what happened, I had changed my strategy, and I started to see results after about 5 months. Like I finally doubled my revenue at the beginning of the spring. And that was nice. But it was kind of this like, is that all there is? Okay, I doubled it. But like, I'm not really that impressed with those results. Like with the work it's taken me, I feel like actually I could be doing better. And so when I found her and really latched on, I was like, I had that insane Labor Day weekend where it was like, $1,500 a day, not even working, not even opening my laptop. Actually, I just, drank margaritas and laid out in the sun all day. But I think that's how you get there. You do the practical, but then at a subconscious and energetic and spiritual level, you have to have that belief and that faith. And then there's an aspect of surrender. So to kind of give you more brass tacks, like of how I did this expander folder on my phone, because it was I did find like a few people on social media, and I would screenshot them and save it to that folder. But I'm like, I don't know. I just had a really hard time with social media. And I wanted to know exactly what these people were doing, like on a very practical level as well. So listening to that Niche Pursuits podcast, when I would hear a story that really resonated with me and they share exactly what they're doing, I'd grab my journal and just write out, how much are they making? What is their strategy? It's beautiful because they give like page view breakdowns, revenue breakdowns, and I would just write it out in this journal. And then I would take a picture with my phone of like the information and then just save it to that folder. So that's one way I had to do it because it was just hard. So maybe you could do that too. Like if you can only find people at networking events, then ask them what they're doing. Maybe you can get their email and you can email back and forth and just screenshot that and have that in your, basically in your pocket to where you can look at that. Also, I highly recommend, even though I am antisocial, I recommend that you get in private Facebook groups for your industry, whatever industry. It's really easy to find. A lot of times you can just Google whatever your industry is. Like I've Googled before, like home decor blogging group, and then it'll show up and then you have to be accepted. If you're on with Mediavine, like I am, it's my advertising agency. They have an awesome Facebook group, private Facebook group, and there's a lot of expansion to be seen because sometimes bloggers will just share their wins and they share what they do, how much they made. And so I'll go in and I can screenshot that as well and then save it to that album. So like private Facebook groups, podcasts, and like I said, there's not a visual element to podcasts. So what you probably would want to do is kind of write out the bullet points of the expansion. Can you bullet point their strategy, their revenue, what they're doing, how they show up, their story even. And like I said, that not only gets it from like this practical, strategic vantage point, because it shows you what you need to do. And obviously you don't have to do exactly what they're doing, but take what works, take what resonates, because it's a winning strategy for someone. So if it works for them, it can work for you too. Or you can find your own adaptation of that. But then also it's just really, sometimes you can feel like you're capped or you're hitting a glass ceiling when you're just not making a whole lot of progress. You've kind of plateaued in your earnings. So it's really good to see just how much further there is to go and what is truly possible. So that is your subconscious mind hack for when you either need to get through a glass ceiling or a plateau, or you just need some practical advice on how to get to where you want to be. I really hope you found this helpful. It's really incredible. Just small little tweaks to your subconscious combined with practical strategic action and consistency. It's kind of like that trifecta, and it's amazing. You can be doing maybe two of those things. If you're missing the other, you're not going to get those results, those, awe-inspiring results. So I feel like, the action, the strategy, consistency, and just that true belief and surrender, just when all of those are combined is really when we kind of woo-woo energetic souls lock into what we know, what we freaking know is our birthright. So I just want to give you a big old virtual hug and really encourage you to try this and let me know if it helps you. Reach out to me if you have any sort of results with this, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for stopping by this week. I make no money from this show. Actually, it costs me money to produce and host, So the best way you can show your support for this passion project of mine is by leaving the show a 5-star written review on Apple. Also, if you would like to contribute monetarily to the show, you can leave a tip in my digital tip jar, which I have the link in the show notes. You can always share it with a friend who you think could benefit from the message, or even better, you can take a screenshot of this episode, upload it to your Insta stories, and tag me in it at Designing Vibes. Sending